But I want to ask you about a criminal case that has become a political rallying point. You heard Donald Trump use this phrase, migrant crime.
Now let's get to this past weekend. You know, there was this horrific, absolutely horrific murder of a young college student, I think 22 years old, by the name of Laken Riley, who just went out to take a jog in the morning, and she was murdered by an illegal immigrant who should not have been in this country in the first place. He's not a migrant or anything else, an illegal immigrant. If she was black, of course, we'd be having riots in the streets in the name of peace and everything else, but she's white, so the media is not sure what to do with this. Anyway, Mayorkas went on CBS News to talk about, well, he was questioned about that and how it sort of relates to everything that's going on at our border.
But I want to ask you about a criminal case that has become a political rallying point. You heard Donald Trump use this phrase, migrant crime. A 22-year-old nursing student, I know you've been following this, Laken Riley in the state of Georgia was murdered allegedly by an undocumented Venezuelan migrant. The suspect had been detained by Border Patrol upon crossing, released with temporary permission to stay in the country. He then went on allegedly to commit crimes twice, once in New York for driving a scooter without a license and once in connection with a shoplifting case in Georgia. Did those states and their law enforcement communicate to the federal government that this had happened? Should this man have been deported?
A few thoughts. First, Margaret, first and foremost, an absolute tragedy, and our hearts break for and our prayers are with the family, number one. Number two, and importantly, as a prosecutor, having prosecuted violent crime and other crimes for 12 years, one individual is responsible for the murder, and that is the murderer. We firmly believe that
New York did not?
We firmly believe that if a city is aware of an individual who poses a threat to public safety, then we would request that they provide us with that information so that we can ensure that that individual is detained if the facts so warrant.
And it sounds like they were not coordinating.
Well, different cities have different levels of cooperation. We were not notified in this instance.
God, it's so disingenuous. Your prayers mean absolutely nothing. And yes, you're right that the one person to blame, you're right in a micro level, that the one person to blame is this illegal immigrant who killed that young lady. But there are, at the macro level, there are many people to blame. People like you that have allowed all of these people into the country. I like how the reporter or journalist, whatever she is, she frames it first by saying it's Donald Trump saying it's migrant crime. Actually, Donald Trump should be saying it's illegal immigrant crime, or he could do something more over the top than that. If anything, by saying it's migrant crime, Trump is going bizarrely soft when it comes to the way he speaks usually. So that's sort of interesting. It's also interesting that, again, the quote unquote journalist there repeatedly says that these are alleged crimes. No one's doubting that they are alleged or not. And also, by the way, when he says that, if one of the states says that somebody did something wrong and they're arrested, well, we do everything about it. No, you don't, because I just covered a story yesterday where in Florida, there was an illegal immigrant who raped someone. ICE then said, and ICE's only job is to kick these people out of the country, basically, round them up and kick them out. ICE was like, well, we don't have enough beds for this guy. So then he got let back out into Florida. And then it was only when DeSantis stepped in, so DeSantis had to do the job that ICE, the federal government, wouldn't, that now the guy has been kicked out of Florida again. So it's unbelievably disingenuous. But the point, again, is that Mayorkas only 2 years ago was telling you how proud he was that he reversed all of these mean Donald Trump racist border things, right? All of these laws. I believe that he believes his intentions were good, but now we see the results of those intentions.